Street. For those of you who are listening, we were knocked off the air. They're playing these games again. We're broadcasting live so that you can see not only do the games follow us at the Star and Crescent Report, but we also get knocked out. And I know there's no sound. They were muting our mics and everything. I want to apologize for all of that. We actually have no control over that. Also, we're waiting for Mr. Ray McGovern to come on. Maybe he's getting blocked also. So I want you to understand the links to what we go through to try to get this news and this truth out to you, and all of the obstacles that are there. Not only did they mute my microphone, not only did they blacken my screen, but they also disconnected us completely from StreamYard, from Twitch, and from Facebook, and also clicked us off the connection point. So that you'll understand that the powers that be do not want the truth that we're bringing to you to get out to you. This is what happens on the Star and Crescent Report. The exact same things. This is what we go through. And this is why we tell you that it's imperative that you support us. This is why we say it doesn't cost you anything to like us on Facebook, on YouTube, and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost you anything to go to the Hiram's 1555 blog and read the articles over there and patronize us over there. And if you like, you can donate, but the articles are free except for a small section, which is called the premium section, but everything else is free. Also, you can go to patreon.com/The Red Pill Diaries and subscribe. We're going to have a whole bunch of content coming up. Again, for those of you who are just joining us, we've been disconnected. Okay, so have patience with us, but this is what we'll be going through on every show probably when we bring you hard hitters. We have Mark Dankoff coming on. We have, and I might be butchering his name, Sajid, I cannot, Sakat, I believe his name. He's a geopolitical person. He writes for Veterans Today. All right. He deals with foreign policy, and he deals with geopolitics and what's going on all over the world. We have financial guru Gregory Manarino coming on. We have a whole host of different people that'll be joining us in the coming days and weeks. Some will be published on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook. Some will be just shared on the platforms of the Star and Crescent Report or the Hiram's 1555 blog or the Patreon, the Red Pill Diary Patreon. But we implore you to support us. You know, this is independent Black journalism, Black news, and we want support. That's one of the main things. Now, I haven't gotten an email or anything back about Mr. McGovern, and I'm hoping that he can get through. I'm checking the emails as I'm talking to you all to see if he responded back, because he told me last night that he was really raring to do this. Okay, so until we can get, I'm going to have to reiterate the things that I just said before we were cut off, and maybe some of you did not hear because they were muting my mic, and every time I was trying to unmute the mic, I couldn't unmute it. Okay, so here is the bio on Mr. Ray McGovern. Mr. Ray McGovern was born August 25th, 1939. He is a former Central Intelligence Agency officer turned political activist. He received the Intelligence Commendation Medal at his retirement, returning it in 2006 to protest the CIA's involvement in torture. He's also a founder of Veteran Intelligence Professionals. And it also says in his bio that, and this is the main part I want to get to, McGovern was a CIA analyst from 1963 to 1990. And in the 1980s, he chaired the National Intelligence Estimates and prepared the Presidential Daily Briefing. And this is why it's so important for you to listen, because if he can get on, and they probably are blocking his links. I just want to share that with you. If he's not on, he maybe he got confused or something, or they're blocking his links. But I had him as a guest on the Star and Crescent Report, and we talked about the things that were going on in the Middle East. We had a very, very, very nice and in-depth conversation on that. And this is why I wanted him to get over to here, because the majority of the people that I'm trying to reach everybody, but the majority, and specifically, is Black people, because we have an unrealistic view of politics. We have an unrealistic view of geopolitics. We have an unrealistic view of the state of things today. And it is very important that we wake up to the reality of the time and what is going on and what you see right before you, because some of us are from Missouri. We We have to be shown things, right? We have to be shown things no matter what somebody says to you. Sometimes, as my mom used to say when I was a little kid, that experience was the best teacher. And some of us have to have it beating on us and beating in us and beating on our backs and stuff before we understand the severity and the ramifications of today's policies or yesterday's policies made by the political elite and the beneficiaries of those policies, which are the average Americans who are non-black, brown, red, and yellow. And so when we bring these things home, you have to have a open mind to see that there's a great collapse going on. And it's not just economic. I'm going to make this clear to you. It is not just an economic collapse that is underway. Okay? It is a collapse on every level. I want you to get that in your mind. There is a major collapse going on of the financial, the political, the geopolitical, the social, and the ethic order. Don't you see how people have lost their morality? Right? Don't you see how nobody has ethics anymore? You know, people, and even with the government, and remember that the government is a reflection of the masses of the people. And when you see America being cold-hearted, stout-hearted, and arrogant and boastful, it oftentimes reflects that of the domestic discourse. Okay? We see that. There's no respect of life, and they're always putting material things above the sanctity and the security of life. There's a great and growing political divide. There's a great and growing economic divide. There's a massive economic divide, a massive one. There's a great and growing geopolitical divide where America once dominated in every area of the world, and now she's losing her grip on all of the global levels of power, and she's being driven mad because she cannot take that it is a non-Western nation, a non-Caucasian nation that is rising up to be not only her equal, but to be her superior in many instances. Like, look at China. 55 years ago, China was one of the, if not the most poorest nation on earth. I want you to understand this. Look at China today. Because of greed, the greed of the political elite of yesteryear, there's a blowback effect today. Because they didn't want to pay you a living wage and they were so greedy for the payola, they moved their manufacturing base to China, right? And all that you see going on today is a blowback from the policies that were implemented yesteryear, even to the dollar. You see the collapse in the US dollar? I know that's evident. All you have to do is go to the store today and see how far today's dollars go when in comparison to yesteryear's dollar. I know I'm a child of the 70s. I'm not an old cat, but I'm not a young one. And I remember growing up, we could take a quarter. I remember we would wait for my grandfather to get off work, and we would run and meet him because he would never hardly drive his car to work. And we would run down the old road to meet him, and he would give us a quarter. And we would put, if it was me and two of my cousins, and he would give us, together 75 cents to $1, we would be able to go and buy cookies, bread, sandwich meat, and we would go into our little clubhouse that we had, and we would eat. Today, you can't get that with $1. This shows you the level of inflation. And for those of you who are not familiar with this, and I'm talking to you specifically, inflation is a tax. Some of you don't understand this. America is taxing you to put money in her pockets and to put money into the coffers of the military industrial complex, right? I want to, since we're talking about something on this level, let me try to find some. I want to show you something. I'm going to bring this up for you, so you bear with me. Hopefully, we'll get Mr. Ray McGovern on. If not, we'll shorten the show. But still, we could have good discourse, political and economic discourse, and we can have a good conversation amongst each other. Okay. So let me go to this. I want to bring something up on the screen for you. Here we are, right here. Give me a second. There we are, right there. Now, what you see on the screen here, okay, is an article that was put together on Press TV, but it's by what the views of the Chinese and what they see that is happening to America as she's losing her dominant spot. And the article is titled, U.S. trying to take world back to jungle age. This is China. Now, I'm going to read a little bit of this for you, okay, to let you get the understanding of how the world is now looking at America as she's lashing out because she's no longer the #1 economy. In purchasing power parity, America has long lost that spot. And that is the main metrics to determine who is the #1 economy. It has been the main metric for determining the #1 economy for a long time. So when we look at the position of America, and she no longer is the largest GDP when compared to purchasing power parity, meaning how much someone can get for what they spend. And when we see that China is #1, China is also the largest exporter. China is also the largest importer. China is also the largest manufacturing. China is also the largest tech giant as we speak. She's the largest lender to the world. She's the largest investor to the world. So you got to get this understanding here. And when you get this understanding, you can see why America is demonizing China. You can see these politics being played, right? To demonize these nations that are challenging American dominance, American power. Okay, I want you to pay close attention to this. Hopefully, Mr. Ray McGovern comes on, but if not, we can have good discourse. We can talk amongst each other, even if he does not show up. And he was supposed to be here 20 minutes ago, and maybe he's running late. Maybe, but I don't put it past them being able to block his link to the show, because as you saw, they muted me, they knocked me off there, and they disconnected me. Okay, so they may be doing it to him too. All right, that's why I tell you, like us on YouTube. We just started this platform a month and a half ago, and we're having power hitters on this show already. Power hitters. We have Ray McGovern, and listen, for the audience that are listening, if he is unable to get through on today's show, we will reschedule this show again and make sure that he's able to get through, okay? Because it is very important that you hear perspectives outside of your enclosed thought process, so that you can get a better understanding of the world and where the world is headed today, okay? As I said, and also go to Patreon and sign up to the Red Pill Diaries, all one word. Even on YouTube, it's all one word, because they got other shows, Red Pill or Red Pill this, Red Pill documentaries, but this is all one word, the Red Pill Diaries, okay? But now let's go to something in this article here. And it says, the title is U.S. trying to take world back to jungle age, China. And it reads like this: China has lambasted American officials as habitual liars and said the U.S. was trying to sow chaos and take the world back to the jungle age after Washington accused Beijing of subjecting women of ethnic minorities to forced abortion. Stop right there. All right? We'll stop right there. This is pot kettle action here. I want to just share this with you, because there are people now who are suing the U.S. government for the same thing, for the covert sterilization of Black people who were incarcerated and those who were in certain areas of the country, right? We see this. Now, I want to give you something, an understanding of something. I notice this about American foreign policy and American politicians. Whenever they do something, they always blame someone else. Always. They always seem to blame someone else for their intransigence, right? Someone else is always at fault. It's never America. Think about this now, because I want to get this in your process. I want you to process this. Think about 10 years ago when America proclaimed that she had a military budget of $500-600 billion. And at this time, 10, 15 years ago, right, she bragged that she had no rival militarily nor economically. You can Google this. I'm not making this up. Google this. She said she had no technological peer, no military peer, no economic peer. And her stated doctrine was to prevent the rise of any nation or combination of nations to challenge her position. This is the truth. Anything that I'm saying is public knowledge. You can go Google this, right? With 500-600 billion plus the black book budget, roughly close to $1 trillion she was spending every year. Now, I want to put something on your mind that you never thought about. If she's decades ahead of everyone else, right, and she's spending more than the next 10 to 20 nations combined on her open book budget, and she's spending more than the rest of the world combined when you add her open book budget and her closed book budget together, she is spending more on weaponry, weapons investment than all of the nations combined. Why is it never enough? Why do they always have to have more each year? Right? And then when we say the emergency spending budgets, which are a couple $100 billion every few months, right? Why is that never enough? Look at what China has been able to do with the little that she has. Right? Not only has China built up her military and her economic capabilities, but China has also gone across China alleviating poverty. You can Google this. Contrary to Western reports, China had made inroads unlike any before, and which makes me want to shine something on you. Let's go back to 11 years ago. I think it's been that long. 11 years ago? It may have been 10 years ago, 11 years ago. But at the outbreak of hostilities in Libya, right? Prior to them demonizing and overthrowing Muammar Gaddafi, the World Health Organization had issued things for Libya, and also the United Nations were about to give Muammar Gaddafi an award for the alleviation of poverty and for raising Libya from being one of the poorest countries in the world to being the wealthiest nation on the Mediterranean. They were going to get that. But under French, US, and British pressure, the UN postponed that so that that cannot be presented as an obstacle for Western aggression against getting rid of Muammar Gaddafi, because he was hell-bent on removing all Western bases out of Africa and implementing the gold dinar, which would have overnight upended the euro and the US dollar domination around the globe. And all of the Western nations, which are considered rich nations, would have flip-flopped. The wealth would have been in Africa, because not only would the unified African currency would be around the whole of Africa, backed by gold, but also by the vast wealth of mineral and precious resources of the African continent. So they had to get rid of that. Now let's fast forward that to today. And remember, they demonized him as being a tyrant. But before we go further, they demonized Muammar Gaddafi as being a tyrant. But let's see what this tyrant did. He alleviated poverty. He paid for weddings. He gave married couples, I believe in US dollars, $50,000. He allowed any and every Libyan citizen to study. It was their choice to either study in Libya or study abroad. And if they chose to study abroad, the Libyan government would provide them housing and a monthly stipend as they go to college abroad. Also, there was free power. You understand? You didn't have to pay these power companies. There was free water, right? Free health care, right? And all of the citizens of Libya received a check from the oil wealth that was sold in international markets by the Libyan Jamahiriya government. Does that sound like a tyrant to you? Huh? I'm asking you, because sometimes we have to look deeper into what the Western picture is, because they only give us something to justify their policies. That's what happens. They give us things, they give us enough to justify their madness. Now, we fast forward it to, we can go to Syria, we can go to Venezuela. It's always a tyrant. It's always a dictator. It's, right? We go to Iraq. Saddam, when they got fed up with Saddam, when he changed and they were going to allow Saddam to continue in a fractured Iraq. But it was only until Saddam Hussein changed the peg of Iraqi oil from selling it in dollars to euros did Saddam be considered a threat to the world. And after he did that, and let me tell you this, for those of you who are not aware of this, and America said that they only wanted to do right by the Iraqi people, but they haven't done right by black people here in America yet. They want to do right by the Venezuelan people by overthrowing the Venezuelan government, but they haven't done right by black people in America yet. Right? I'm just giving it to you real. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I have to tell you the truth, whether you like it or not. This is why you see the uprisings, right? And on one of the shows, we're going to have some people to come on the show, and they're going to tell you about the hidden provocations, the false flag things that are going on, and how all of those fires that were set were not, most of the time, they were not set by black people. I'm telling you this now, and they have photographic evidence and stuff. We might bring them on about this, but you want to demonize somebody, and it's never the culprit. It's always the victims that are being demonized, right? But again, they want to bring freedom to the people in China, and yet they have an economic and political boot on the neck of those who have served in the military, who have fought in their wars, and who are just saying, listen, give me an equal chance of opportunity here. Don't block me, don't stop me, don't set up barriers, don't treat me different.